glad to have both of you guys on here. Zab, you could talk a little bit about the channel itself. And we got here the phenom Jamil Hackett
Yeah,
and his father.
yeah. I mean, the channel is to bring recognition and awareness to a lot of up and coming fighters. You know what I'm saying, that don't get a chance to get publicized on the the bigger platforms. You know what I'm saying. You got it home. Let's go. Before a champ.
Nah, definitely, definitely. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Word.
So this is obviously broadcasting, your journey to when you become, world champion, and when we get that moment. So,
Because because
nevertheless, how you guys doing?
we definitely know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
We
definitely,
definitely know it.
definitely,
Yeah.
man. I feel like we in the right direction right now. It was a little bit stagnant for a while, but that last performance and us going to matchroom has really, I feel like it's really put us in the right direction.
Mm.
So tell me, why do you feel that way? And also, how was that experience as well in Philadelphia with Matchroom?
First off, I want to thank Eddie Matchroom, the whole Matchroom team, my team as well for the opportunity. It was a great experience in Philadelphia. As you guys seen, it was a sold out crowd. I got the opportunity to be a co-main event to Jerron Ennis in this homecoming fight. I fought a very tough opponent, very game veteran, and Pete Dobson. Hats off to him. And it was fun. It was fun. I got me a little war wound to go with it,
Yeah.
a little nick. Yeah, it was definitely a hell of an experience. Hell of an experience. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I done watched the fight probably about 50 times already, and
Mm.
seen 100 million things I did wrong. So, we back to the drawing board, back in the gym today. Just starting to look at and work on some things. For the next go round.
First thing I want to ask you is, a lot of people might not know. Tell me how is it working with Eddie Hearns, and what kind of guy is he?
Eddie Hearns is, super duper cool, super duper straightforward. Like, he gonna tell you what it is. He not really gonna beat around the bush. And it's one of those relationships where if you work, you'll get what you work for. And if you're not working, then you're not gonna get nothing. So
Right.
it's definitely one of those situations where, like, a fighter that's willing to grind, he'll love it. But if you're looking for a handout, Matchroom ain't the place for you.
Right. I got another question. So, Pops, tell me, this has been a big journey for you guys and a big step up. I mean, did you anticipate or expect to see where you guys are at now? I mean, was it something that you expected it to see happen right now?
I expected us to be on this path, but I think the better piece came because we got to jump some steps. I wanted to get the youth title. I knew we could win that. I said that I think we match up good against any young fighters. After that, I thought we get one or two defenses of the youth title, then maybe see if there's something, something else that he could, probably put on the map before he stepped up to an experienced veteran. But when we went to Matchroom and, Jalil was saying, hey, I think I could beat just about it. His list of people who he thought he wasn't ready to fight was very small. I think people have heard him say it before. Uh, Boots, Bird, and Earl. And if they say, hey, if you feel that strongly about it, we'll put you in there. I didn't think it would be the Continental title, but hey, it
Right.
was. And he told me I'm ready. He was. I mean, me personally, as a coach, not even as a father. Hey, let's try and get one more in, get a little bit of more seasoning. He was like, man, if we all do our job, it'll work out. It's your job to train me and come up with the game plan. It's my job to carry it out.
Right.
So when we got behind that, they gave us this as a first assignment. And I think he followed everything. If people watch Jalil and know him, he's looking for big shots every time. He's looking for big shots. This wasn't the
Killer
plan, the
instinct.
game. Yeah. But also temper with follow the game plan.
Mm.
I followed you your whole life. You one of those guys that's looking for the big shot. I've heard your dad say, "Hey, son, settle
Settle
down.
down.
It's
Settle
not
down.
settle down." And I'm telling him same thing.
Mm.
And the game plan for us. And people took it personal, like I took offense to it, but I didn't. When I heard people say what they said, that means it went correctly. The game plan was to win the first 6 rounds convincingly, so we know we didn't lose those. It's your first 10, 7 and 8. If you felt the power come off, take those rounds off. Take those rounds. If we won the first 6, we can give up 2, and then 9 and 10, pick it back up and finish out, so we know we won it. And he stuck to the plan. At the end of the third, he came to me. He was like, "I'm gonna go for the knockout in the 4th round." I said, "That's your one round because you only get one to try it." And
Right.
that was his round, and he went for it,
Mm,
and he didn't get it. Soon as he came back, first thing I said, "Okay, now we back to the game plan. Win the next 2 rounds with the stick."
mm,
Once he did that, 7 and 8, it kind of went the way I wanted it, and 9 and 10, I said we gave those away. Come on, let's get back, and he did that. I always show him a lot of the guys that to me he emulates, or the guys that remind me of him, and I do that with a lot of guys like Floyd Patterson, Tracy Harris Patterson,
mm-hmm.
you and your dad, Gary and his father, a lot of those guys, Marvin Hagler and Petronelli. Okay, we gonna give and take. I'll give you the assignment, but let's come where we both feel like we're getting it done. So for him to stick to that plan, 6 rounds winning, 2 rounds giveaway, and then close it out, that told me he matured as a fighter. A
Mm,
4 round fight where he gets a knockout,
mm,
that wouldn't have showed me nothing. Not trying to be
right,
funny. Okay, yeah, that was cool,
right,
but I still ain't seen you go rounds. But him having to go rounds, that showed me something, and that let him know you can win more ways than knockouts.
right. So it's clear to say, you're very pleased that he had to go in the tough waters and dig it out and dig himself out, and you know what I'm saying, and show you that he is the guy that you know he is. You know what I'm
A
saying?
hundred percent. A
Mm-hmm.
hundred percent. It's one thing to say I can do it. It's another to say I've done it, and then I know I can get it done. So now
Right.
he knows he's done it, and I can get it done. Before now, it was like I can do it. That's just what you think.
Mm. Looking ahead, hold on. Looking ahead in a perfect world, right now, you guys had it made, and all the top 3 big guys. Which one of them guys would you guys be looking at? You know what I'm saying, to lock in with, and who is those 3 guys?
I say right now, when I look at the landscape of what's going on in the division, I say that the actually to me it's 4 big guys. The 4 guys is Jerron Ennis, he's at the top. The number 2 guy I would say would be Barrios, number 3 Stanionis, and number 4 would be Brian Norman. For us in a perfect world, we could get the Brian Norman fight if we were looking for the title right now. But for me, the perfect world is his next fight not being a title fight. Maybe his next 2 fights not being title fights.
Mm,
To me, the perfect world is get you a defense of this one, and then after you get a defense of this one, if the waters have cleared themselves, either going after the WBC intern or the WBO intern. If the WBA is available, cool. But if I'm looking at the champions if I put them in an order of top to bottom, I got Boots, Barrios, Stanionis, and Brian Norman. But if I did it in a low hanging fruit, I would pick Brian Norman first. I would pick Barrios second, Stanionis third, and Jerron Ennis. I can't even put him fourth because I would never take that fight. We got too much relationship with him. He's been
right.
too helpful to our camp.
Yeah.
We learned too much from him to say that's a guy.
And you
I
guys,
think when he clears up,
and you guys are somewhat similar.
yeah,
You have like the same similar type of come in, kill. You know what I'm saying? Destruct, get the job done. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
so that to me makes the most sense. I look at it like you and Floyd. I mean, companies, management teams, everything could have put that together years before, but it's like, how does that make sense?
Right.
It doesn't make logical sense.
Right.
So this is boxing, but it's called prize fighting. So the
Right.
prize has to be equivalent to the risk. I'm not
Right.
just taking risk for the hell of taking risk.
Right.
So I want to congratulate you, and I love the sportsmanship between both of you guys after the fight, from both of you guys. It's very inspiring to see that from you as a young fighter and him as an older fighter embracing the young lion. You said you took 2 rounds off. Do you feel like if you took 1 round off, you think you would have been able to get him out?
Uh, I really don't know. You know, every round, when I went back to the corner, it was a situation of like, all right, what they want me to do. If they would have told me after one round, like, all right, get back on him, then I get him out of there. But after I took the one round off and I came back to the corner, they was just telling me, stay on my stick. And so I just stayed on my stick, used my legs a little bit, and just took another round off. And then we closed the fight out strong in those final two rounds.
Mm.
So, obviously his last opponent was Conor Ben. Obviously a lot of the media has been speaking upon you and Conor Ben as a matchup. Talk about that potential matchup, and both you and your father, can answer. When is that type of a step up necessary?
I feel like right now, I think I would really just let the team tell me what's next. Because like my dad said, they wanted me to take like a easier fight as my first fight with them, but I kind of like pressed the issue on them to get like a tougher guy. Because
Why?
you know, coming into this, I feel like and maybe it was just me because my dad didn't agree with me at first. We didn't
Okay,
agree with me at all.
let's
But
talk about it.
for me, I was telling them coming in with my first fight with Matchroom, I had something to prove. I feel like I had a point to prove. That's why, I took the Pete Dobson fight. He's a tough veteran, and he was coming off of that fight with Conor Ben, where people thought like he gave Conor Ben a run for his money a little bit. And so like I feel like, if I beat him, then it's like I feel like I would really have proved myself a little bit. So like with these next two fights, I ain't really. I'm really letting them pick now because for that one, I really jumped out there and picked something that they thought was crazy. So with this one, I'm really just letting them decide. Let them decide the opponent, and I do what I got to do.
Mm. Mm. I like that. I mean, so basically, you ain't got no hit list. You just take them as they come.
Yeah, as of right now, yes.
As of right now, I got you. Got you. Respectable.
So, Pops, this question's toward you, and you could also kind of answer that as well with the Conor Ben situation. But because it seems like you probably handle more of the matchmaking, hands-on with the matchmaker. But as far as Jalil making that decision on, Pistol Pete Dobson and him, being such, outclassing him, talk to me as far as you listening to your son upon that. I mean, do you feel like that was a great move, and is that something in the future that you really consider when it comes down to his future?
I think when you look at these things, people always get the father son aspect confused. It's not the father son aspect. It's he's the fighter. I do the other parts, but I also have to remember he is the fighter. So if certain things that he want to do in a certain way, then we have to look at that and take that into account. When he said he wanted to face stiff competition because he thinks he can fight and battle with the better guys, I say, hey, we gotta listen to what he says. At the end of the day, he always tells me if I get knocked out, it doesn't hurt you at all. And I told him, I said, if I prepare you properly, I think when he's prepared properly, he can fight anybody. But I also want to make sure we make it make sense. And it's not. I think a lot of time the fans get caught up in you this guy, he this guy, make it happen. But you got to understand the dollars and cents. You got to understand the X's and O's to get certain fights, and at the point that you think you want them or the fans think you want them, this prize fighting at the end of the day, that fight only might be 100,000, 150,000. But if you let it mature, let it grow, let it fester, that same fight could be worth $1 million. So if I'm gonna fight you, but I want to fight you when it's worth its maximum money, not when it's the best fight at the lowest money. And I think that would go for any two logical thinking coaches. If they're saying, do you want 100,000 on Monday, or do you want to wait for this same Monday a year from now and I give you $1 million? The ones that have sense, they're gonna say, give me that fight next year, this same Monday, because it's worth $1 million. And that's how I'm looking. My son has done everything he wanted to do. My son said, let me jump out the window this time. And if I slam the window shut, then you can open it with a crack or whatever you want to do. But let me do that. And he proved that. I think we gotta stop looking for things to not make sense. If you look at, I'll give you an example: Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. When they wanted to put them together 5 or 6 years before they fought, they were talking about that'll cost $30 million a piece. They did it 5 years later. They made $100 million a piece. Once again, my son is in this for prize fighting. Zab knowing his dad know, seen him a bunch of times. Zab put on a pair of gloves for the world to see him, just using that example, at 15. But Zab put a pair of gloves on when he had diapers on. So it ain't been when you see these kids like my son, he 21. They don't realize he been fighting since he was 6. So I'm not you. Let me tell you, and like I said, I always say Jab. When I see him, I say Zab. His parents put a lot of money into him before he ever made a lot of money. Then people ain't invest their money for somebody to say, we want to see these guys fight when they 21. It got to make sense. It got to make sense. Zab came up through the ESPN years, the Tuesday night fight years, all of those years when I made my reputation. Once I got my reputation, I want to cash in on my reputation. That's what it is. It's not just take a fight for the hell of taking fights. That's called playground basketball. The dudes in the league say make the check make sense, and that's where I'm playing. We'll never turn down a fight as long as the finances make sense. Never. Because we already took the harder fights for the lesser purses. So why would we do that when we get to a certain point?
Yeah.
So as far as Eddie's known for bring signing fighters, bringing them back home for a homecoming fight. Has he ever discussed a homecoming fight? And if so, does as far as Jaron Ennis's cards are concerned, I mean this was a good card. Do you feel like it's more like fight under his cards for a little bit, or when's the next time you guys think that you could possibly get your main event at hometown? You talked
Uh,
about it
uh,
yet?
I think yeah, yeah, but to me, once again, timing is everything. I don't think he's ready to come home and be the main event
Mm.
at home. Not because he can't fight, not because people won't come to see him, but because timing is everything. In a
Mm-hmm.
perfect world, we might go on a Jerron Ennis as another co-main event. We could go on another championship fight as a co-main event. Might do it 2 or 3 times. But when it's time to bring them home, you got to bring them home where it means something. If
Right.
you say Jerron Ennis is going to be 47 for another year, and he's going to do 3 more fights at 47, then he's going to go to 54. Everybody see how big he is, and we have the opportunity to fight for that belt he vacates. Then of course, bring it home because it's for something. But just to come home for coming home, I think it got to be something to it. A lot of times people want to put the cart before the horse. Sometimes taking your time is going fast. You got to make it make sense, and for me, it got to make sense. Jalil will fight anybody, but now we just did his first 10 rounder. You got to look at what he did. He had 6 4 rounders. He had 1 6 rounder, 1 8 rounder, straight to a 10 rounder. So
Mm.
he's jumped a lot of steps in the progress of the sport. So now let's say, hey, now let's get the seasoning on. The pot is boiling. Now let's put seasoning on the pot and let him get the seasoning part of it down. Once that happens, they're gonna bring him home. People forget Jalil just turned 21 2 months ago. He just
Mm-hmm.
turned 21. He's ahead of the pace. For those people want to say fight this guy, fight this other young guy. I tell any of them, go fight Pete Dobson first.
Right.
If they want to see where their young prospect is,
Yeah.
put them in their first 10 rounder against him. Don't
Pete
go
is
find
tough.
soft
Yeah.
competition. Yeah, don't go
Right.
find soft competition. Go
Mm-hmm.
go get Pete. I told Pete, what you talking about retirement for? Slim, you just hit the jackpot. You did
Mm-hmm.
12 with Connor. You did 10 with my son. Connor is #2 in the world. My son is the young hot prospect. Make some of these prospects prove that they ready to be considered contenders.
Right.
Don't give them no layup fighting somebody 18-9, 27-6. Fight Pete. Fight this
But
guy.
you know how. But you know how it is for Pete. Pete probably looking at, he got back-to-back L's, and you know how I'm saying that don't. It's probably
Yeah,
messing with his confidence and stuff like
and
that. So he's like, man, I want
I, I tell him like I tell him like I told you. Ain't none of these young guys management teams going to take Pete in their first 10-round fight.
no,
I want to see it. I
yeah,
want to see them
right,
do it. They keep talking about. I always said my son was the best young prospect of his generation, not nobody else's generation. So if they think they're better than him, fight Pete.
sign up. There
Yeah,
you
fight
go.
Pete.
Yeah.
That makes it where the conversation is interesting. Hey, maybe Jalil and him could fight, but don't just say I'm this, I'm that, and you fought dudes that can't fight. The last two dudes we fought was for belts, WBC youth title and the WBA Continental Americas title against a 16-1 and a 16-1. Go get one of them. You get one of them, and one thing I say, I ain't heard nobody calling my son out.
Right.
You beat one of them, call him out. We
Are
answer
you
the
guys
call.
are you guys interested in unifying the titles, or becoming undisputed?
If it's there, yes. I think for him, it may be a better opportunity to, because I think they may see it as a more even scale as opposed to them trying to become undisputed with Jerron Ennis in a way. It's not a 50-50 fight with him and any of the other champions. It's like an 80-20. So, I think a lot of them be waiting in the wings saying, hey, we let him pass. He too big. He'll go to 54, and my son will have a better chance. I think if my son win the IBF title first, just saying if that's available, I think him and Brian Norman will be a great unification bout.
Mm,
Both of them young, both of them hungry. The winner of that, they might get the winner of Stanionis versus Barrios fight, and then you get an undisputed right there. I think having a young undisputed champion is good for the sport. Young guy might be there a few years before he go up to 54.
okay. Okay.
So, Jalil, how was it going 10 rounds for the first time?
It
Yeah,
was it
what did
was
that feel
cool.
like?
It was cool. I don't really know how to explain it. So like the first, as you seen, like the first five or six, I felt great. Like it felt like every round I felt fresh. When I got to the end of the sixth, my dad was like, "All right, now it's time to use that jab." Like my dad and Coach Kenny was like, "All right, now it's time to use the jab," and I'm like, in my mind, I'm telling myself like, if I keep pressing him, he might quit. But I was like,
Mm,
I don't want to keep pressing him, and then I come back to the corner and they get to cussing me out because I wasn't listening. And
right.
so I was all right. I'm gonna get on my stick, and I feel like I can serve some energy good using my stick. I used my stick for 2 rounds, damn near 3 rounds straight. But then, like, when like I felt like I had to pick it up, that's when they told me to pick it up. And I closed. I felt like I closed out the fight strong with the ninth and the 10th round.
You can you speak a little bit upon your team? I was looking at your team in the corner. You, Bernard, and Coach Kenny. You guys work quite amazing together. I was listening to you guys. I feel like it's like one is looking at what he should be aware of, and one is looking at what the game plan and what we got to do. Like, is that something similar to what am I right or am I wrong?
You actually spot on. You right. You really spot on. You know.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that was a hell of an observation. But my dad, he kind of like saying like what he think. He planning out the attack. Kenny planning out the defense, and they
Mm-hmm.
kind of like putting their minds together.
Together.
Yeah.
How does
Mm,
that feel as a fighter? You got that type of team going on, because I don't really see that much. I see Coach Kenny's a hell of a wingman. I'm gonna tell you, because him and Coach Calvin were great together as well. He's just a great person to work with. I see. But can you speak a little bit upon that combo, and how does that give you an advantage upon some of these other welterweights?
I feel like the advantage is really more of an experience thing. My dad had coached far before I even boxed. Coach Kenny had been coaching a long time. People always, the first thing they think of when they think of Coach Kenny is Tank, but he had been coaching far before he was coaching Tank. So it's like, with those two coaches with more experience than I have years on this earth, it's like, that's a great plus for me.
Right.